One of the exciting things about working with a brand new facility is that their needs are really diverse. As a brand new facility, they kind of need everything.
We talk about air permitting a lot first because that is one of the main pre-construction permits you have to have.
Mhm.
The air permit has to be issued before you can begin construction. The definition of beginning construction may vary some from state to state. Hi, I'm John Wellspring. I work at KERAMIDA and I work in our compliance division and permitting. Well, in consulting, I've been in consulting for 35 years and I've worked at KERAMIDA for the last 8.
I'm Wesley Fleming, and I also work in our compliance division as a vice president. And I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary with KERAMIDA.
Right. Well, new facility permitting is kind of a specialty because uh, you have to take a lot of things into consideration. So the siting of the facility is real important. You want to get a good location that is basically zoned for the activities that are going to be conducted. And then you want to make sure that the facility is in the right sort of area for utilities and electricity that they have and requirements that they have for sewer hookup, for power transmission, for logistics like rail and truck.
A company goes into this process of building a new facility. They have an idea of what they want to build, but when it first starts out, it kind of is just an idea. Like, they don't have hard designs yet, and eventually we'll get there and we'll have drawings of what they're going to build. But when we first start working with the company, many times those designs have not been drawn up yet,
Right.
and it's difficult but exciting. It is a very iterative process, like you said, because oftentimes to start that construction, we have to give them a permit. And to get them a permit, we have to know all these details about their facility. But those details, may not be finalized yet. So we're working really closely with the facility as they develop those. And in many cases, we're informing them from a compliance viewpoint on what the design of the facility needs to be. I can think about some of the work that you did with the electrolyte producer and also with the membrane producer, where you were really informing them on what the design requirements were going to be for their air pollution control devices.
We're trying to stay below regulatory thresholds. We're also trying to meet best available control technology requirements. And so a lot of that gets into what type of emission control technology you're going to apply to the emissions from the facility. And in some cases, the facilities have no idea, like, well, what does that technology look like? What does it cost? What does it do? What does it achieve? What level of control can I achieve? And so we're looking at these facilities. Sometimes we help them quote, cost, design, kind of strategize on how they're going to control, what they're going to control, help them choose the most affordable control for their particular situation so that they minimize their control equipment cost. And sometimes we get into issues with chemistry that's involved. Like in one case, I'm thinking fluorinated organic compounds, which when combusted generate hydrofluoric acid, which is aggressive material. And you have to meet certain design criteria with a control device. It has to be tolerant of the hydrofluoric acid, or you have to scrub to remove the hydrofluoric acid. A lot of that can affect both the cost of the control and the lead time or delivery of the control device. And that sometimes becomes very critical. Like, I'd like to use that control device, but I can't wait 2 years for delivery. I need to start this facility in a year. And so that kind of gets you on a hunt for alternative technologies that maybe can be delivered more quickly with less specialized materials of construction.
Timing is always really important in these projects, any project, but these projects specifically, because the construction, certain phases of the construction can't start till we get the permits. And so we understand that time is of the essence, and I think have good strategies in place. And it goes back to those strong relationships with the regulators where, we know how to strategize and put together a timeline that's going to be realistic for us, realistic for the facility, so that they can get their permit in time to meet their construction timeline.
That's true, and really the completeness of the application has a big impact and bearing on how fast it can be turned around and how fast you get the permit issued. And so if you deliver a complete application to the regulatory agency where they don't have to come back to you for additional information and issue notice of deficiencies over and over, then that can basically accelerate the permitting process. We talk about air permitting a lot first because that is one of the main pre-construction permits you have to have. The air permit has to be issued before you can begin construction. The definition of beginning construction may vary some from state to state. Here in Indiana, you could pour a foundation, you can do several things as long as you're not a PST major source. But in other states, you can't even begin to site prep before you have to have an air permit in place. And that affects your timeline for your facility because they have to wait for those approvals before they can begin construction.
So we've done several projects now with companies outside the U.S. who were looking to build facilities here in the U.S., some of them for the first time. So they had other plants, in other countries around the world, but they didn't have any here in the U.S. And so when they wanted to locate a plant here, they got connected to local chambers of commerce and economic developments, and through those channels got connected with the local regulatory agency, the state regulatory agency, and we were actually referred to the client by the regulatory agency, which is a great referral, and I think speaks to the great relationships that we have with the regulators and the great working relationship that we have with them, that they would refer a client to us. I think that speaks to their trust in our ability to write a good permit and help them through that process. One of the exciting things about working with a brand new facility is that their needs are really diverse. As a brand new facility, they kind of need everything. And that's fun for us as a firm to be able to meet their needs on a lot of different fronts and really get a lot of different staff at KERAMIDA involved, even different departments, our compliance group, on the environmental side, on the health and safety side. Our land services group has helped with transactions and the phase one, the due diligence for those, the land that they were acquiring. We did all the permitting as well as startup support all the way up until the time period of, that they were going to start operations. So a lot of different things that they need. It's not a simple kind of one and done project. And that's fun. We have the opportunity to really get to know the client really well, to really get to understand their process inside and out. I mean, we're poring over the drawings and the plans for the facility, really understanding the nitty-gritty of what it is that they're going to be doing at that facility, and then applying that knowledge in all of these different areas that I talked about to get them set up for startup.
Right, and some of the things we do are SPCC plans for oil storage and spill response, initial training for all the safety programs, initial training for hazardous waste, universal waste, SPCC, stormwater sampling, the permitting for stormwater, the permitting for wastewater, the registration of hazardous waste, generator status, determining generator status, lots of different things. We can help them get DOT licenses for activities that they're going to do, process hazard analysis, evaluate them for process safety management and risk management planning purposes, lots of different things.
Yep. Including several things that I would say are kind of non-traditional things for us in the compliance group in terms of funding for these projects.
That's true.
A lot of grants that are available that our clients have had us support, loan programs that they're going after, that we're able to support from an environmental side to help them acquire that funding to start these new projects.
You guys just want to do a podcast?
They should do a podcast. It's fantastic.